Morning. I call this hearing to order. Thanks to everyone for being here today. We are meeting today to begin the important work of examining our changing climate and its effects on producers of American goods, services, and agriculture. Today we will hear testimony from experts on the innovative private sector-led initiatives in the U.S. that reduce air emissions while promoting economic growth. We will begin with opening statements and then hear from our panel of witnesses. I will start here. During the month of August, I traveled around the Hoosier state on my Summer Solutions tour, and in the first little over 9 months, I did visit all 92 counties and got a real good reading of where Hoosiers are on issues related to climate. At nearly every stop, we discussed the importance of sustainability and the need to protect our environment. As I have learned through visiting with Hoosiers over the past 2 years, included, the American people are paying attention to these important conversations. You wouldn't know it by watching the news, but we have all been thinking about and investing in this problem for a long time. Everyone, that is, maybe except Washington, who has been too polarized for too long to deal with much of anything, particularly our changing climate. Instead, American innovators and capital have been leading the way. Our manufacturing, agriculture, and generation sectors have seen significant improvements from the voluntary adoption of new, lower carbon corporate practices. According to the Energy Information Administration, U.S. energy-related CO2 emissions decreased 0.9% in 2017 alone. The American economy has been so impressive at reducing emissions that in 2018, BP noted in its statistical review of world energy that the U.S. was the world leader for reducing carbon emissions, prompting American Enterprise Institute to note that for the 9th time in this century, the U.S. has had the largest decline in emissions in the world, and we still need to do better. In fact, in 2017, the U.S. Energy Information Administration found U.S. emissions from energy sources hit their lowest level in 25 years, while during those same 25 years, U.S. GDP more than doubled, and real median household income rose by nearly 20%. And yet, innovation continues. In September, Duke Energy, a company which serves 7.2 million customers, announced an ambitious new initiative which would bring its carbon emissions to net zero by 2050. The world's largest retailer, Amazon, has announced its plan to achieve net zero by 2040. Last year, in an Indiana subsidiary of NiSource, a natural gas utility that serves almost 4 million customers, announced a Your Energy, Your Future plan. Under this initiative, NiSource plans to cut 90% of its greenhouse gas emissions. What is perhaps most impressive about changes made by industry is that we have been able to accomplish significant emissions reduction while not sacrificing countries' overall economic competitiveness. But we must constantly remain vigilant of the balance. There's a real risk that in attempting to curb emissions, American families, workers, and businesses will be hit with rising prices, fees, and utility bills. It is our duty to balance these two interests. Rather than dictate choices, we should allow for the market to drive new ways to produce and consume energy and goods more efficiently. However, our national debate has deviated from this balance, instead focusing on policies which would, without question, severely limit consumer choice in many areas, from the type of energy you should use, to the kind of car or appliance you should buy, to how much meat you should eat. In the case of the Green New Deal, a complete central planning reorganization of our economy, I believe the effect would be significant and not in the right direction. It's one thing when you make these decisions for yourself, it's another when Washington forces its decisions upon you. Economic competitiveness would be the real cost of these proposals when, ironically, if we really are going to solve our environmental problems, we will need innovators, to produce the technologies to get us there, the hallmark of what's built this country. This is why today's focus on private sector investment has been so critical, what has been driving these decisions, and what the results have been. I look forward to each of your testimonies as we continue to consider these questions. And I draw the parallel of being on the HELP committee, where we are taking on the healthcare industry, who I've solely blamed for the pickle we're in with high healthcare costs, and have asked them to get with it, start fixing yourselves. When 80 senators weigh in, you should be getting the message. I've been impressed in the energy sector, and what we're going to talk about today, the interest within the industry of being responsible in trying to help protect the environment.